You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
And away we go for the Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take. It is Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill, presented by Betano, our good friends over at Betano. We're getting set for the Leafs and the Washington Capitals Frozen Frenzy, Rosie. The concept is real. 16 different games, 16 different start times. What do you make of that? How are you today?
I'm all right. Smashing coffee. Yeah. That's
one of those days.
It is. Snow on the ground. I'm refusing to shovel it. It's going to melt. Screw this climate, man. I get a little bummed out this time of year. But Frozen Frenzy gets me back into it. Yeah, it's pretty cool they can pull that off, man. Every single team in the show playing at a different time. That's insane. So I don't even understand how they can pull that off. But 16 games, if you want to sit there and watch hockey for an entire day with nothing else going on in your life, someone like you could do that.
Yeah, exactly. And lucky for us, the first game on the 16-game slate is the Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals, which we're going to preview today. Your old buddy who played with Devante Smith-Pelly, who won the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals in 2018, is going to drop by in about 20 minutes from now. We're going to obviously talk some Ovechkin. He's off to a slow start here with the Capitals, but get Devo's perspective on the Maple Leafs. I mean, a lot cooking with this team through 5 games, game 3 of 5 here on the road. But yeah, that's the unique thing, I think, with this whole concept is like you're never going to make every fan base happy. And the consternation on social media since like Sunday about people bitching about one game being on Monday and one on Wednesday to compensate for the 16 on Tuesday. It's just pro sports in a nutshell. And you see the full slate on the screen right now. It just pro sports where not everybody's going to be happy and people take to social media to bitch and complain about it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's the NHL. So as long as the Maple Leaf market is happy, then everything else should just fall into place or no one really cares.
Exactly. We're pumped up. How do you feel about having snow in the month of October, like midway through October, man? Because I saw pictures of that. They're promoting the Heritage Classic, which again, I don't know if Connor McDavid is going to play in it. They're not ruling him out just yet, but something tells me they're trying to sell some tickets out there. What's it like having snow this early, man? It was like 15 degrees here yesterday in Toronto.
I know. It's been a beautiful fall, man. I was golfing like 6 days ago. It just dumped down. I'm hoping it's gone by the weekend, but I don't like it, man. Winter's too long. Like, I'm trying to crunch the numbers. I'm like, it's a solid 5 months of snow going forward. I got to get down south faster than possible, but that's not going to happen for several years. So just got to embrace it, man. What else can you do? My brother says, quit bitching about it. This happens every year. You shouldn't be surprised.
Don't you have a trip in like a week?
Yeah.
Aren't you? Where are you going?
Palm Springs, baby.
Wow. Leafs Morning Takes going on the road in November. You're going to Palm Springs. I'm going to be in Florida for 10 days, like mid-November. We're going tropical with this thing because I can't take this weather either. And it's not even cold here yet.
I love it, man. Nothing better than getting away in these months when it's snowing here. But unlike the snowbirds, I can't do it for like 5 and 6 months at a time. But that's all right. I'm still young.
Yeah, we are. And we're building towards the pinnacle of one day doing Leafs Morning Take from like a Vegas pool party or something, right? Baby steps with this thing. I don't know where else we're going to host this show together, but I think baby steps. I like it would be great to do it from a beach one day. Who knows?
It'd be wicked. Well, we'll have All-Star break this year in T-Dot. It won't be a tropical climate, but I think there's going to be some fun stuff come out of that for sure.
Yeah, I think we're aiming for those of you who are in the GTA area or will be at All-Star. I think we're aiming to do some stuff together and have some meetups so you can meet Jay Rosehill in person. And that specific person you can meet is Travis Houston. Hopefully we can get him out. I know you called him a bitch to wrap yesterday's program up. Any repentance, any apologies coming your way today or no?
There's no apology. Am I going to get any apologies? We'll see. Guy said I can't even spell.
It's a good beef. I tell you can't even spell, but I guess I get the benefit of the doubt because I'm your co-host, right?
I can spell just fine, you guys. It's autocorrect on Twitter when I didn't realize it didn't have autocorrect. And other than that, I am just fine at spelling. I'm actually above average at spelling. It's a numbers thing I don't like all that much.
In case you missed it, I'm with you too, which is funny because my last name's Alberga and it's close to algebra. I am so bad at math, and that's probably the only reason I turned to broadcasting because I'm like, I can't do anything math specific. Like it's tough for the kid.
Well, there's only 9 numbers, and they just.
I think you said 10 last week. There was 10 numbers last week.
Well, 0's not actually a number, is it?
That was that's what happens on social media, and I sort of feel for Rosie again because I've been in broadcasting for 12 years, and people listen to you and They just pick up on things. Like they nitpick the littlest shit. It's like, I don't even pay attention to that stuff anymore. It's ridiculous.
I think it's funny. At least it means they're watching, right? And paying attention.
True.
That's all we care about.
True. And we care about Crown Royal and Wendy's and Covered Bridge and all our friends here in Betano. And we're having a great time here at Leafs Morning Take. What are the chances we get Ryan Reeves and Tom Wilson tonight in DC?
Revo. I don't know, man. If Tom Wilson is up to the task, that's what I'm wondering.
Oh.
Depends how that game's going. Have they gone before? I wonder.
I believe they have.
Top
of my head,
hockey
they have.
fights.
Yeah,
they have gone before. Hey, it's possible. I mean, Revo's on a bit of a tear. There's been I think last game was the first game there wasn't a scrap in the Leafs season so far, which, I mean, geez, usually it's a complete opposite. Maybe like, what, 10%? If that, there's a fight. How many fights did Leaf have last year?
like 6. It
6?
felt like.
Yeah, not much, man. So, yeah, they're off to a good start. Depends how the game goes on. I always remember guys would text me on game day, are you going to fight this guy? Are you going to fight this guy? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how the game goes. We'll see what's going on. If we pot 2 or 3 quick ones, then I'm probably going to brush them off, or vice versa. So you never know what's going to happen, but those two would be the combatants. If one did happen, I would certainly imagine.
Dude, we got to set up a tag team match because Travis is going at you quickly. He says, morning, Nick and Jay. Did you send him the clip of him saying undifferent? I have it, but Elvis Lives, like, this is the tag team match, you and me against Elvis Lives and Travis Houston, because Elvis Lives right away just rip it on Marner. We weren't even on air, and I'm telling Rosie off air, I'm like, this guy's going after it early. It's going after it early.
Yeah, it's not that hard to go after Marner, is it?
I don't know. Let's see what he said. So this is before the show. What exactly do in cap locks? Matthews and Marner do 5-on-5. Nylander Matthews is where the magic is. Nicky boy, don't give me 99 points. Most are on the power play, not 5-on-5. Last time I checked, power play points are points. I'd love this guy to give me an opinion on McDavid and Draisaitl getting 1 billion points per season on the power play. Like, I think that's a flawed excuse. Mitch Marner and Matthews, that combo's pretty damn good. Okay, like, that's it.
There's a few fire ponies on that front end of that Maple Leafs team, and the thing where what I think is, when you're looking at points and numbers and stuff, if you're looking at a guy's numbers and you need to, reiterate that he does not play on the power play, that's something that makes sense to me. But if a guy's got a ton of points, you can't say that doesn't count. Plays power play.
Yeah, dude, I'm laughing. Travis is hilarious. For the record, I the show, I didn't know it was Rosie's time of the month.
You on your period or something? No,
this is a good rivalry brewing, so we love that. Devante Smith-Pelly is coming up in about 10 minutes. Brought to you by DoorDash. It's time for the appetizer. Thanks to DoorDash, you don't have to worry about cooking dinner or running to the store. Let it all come to you. For a limited time, our listeners and viewers can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25. That's NATION25. Reminder, uppercase NATION25. Please note this offer is currently only valid in Canada, subject to change. Terms apply. I forgot to mention where you could subscribe to our podcast. My mistake. At the Leafs Nation 401. At the Leafs Nation 401, where you could subscribe. New line combos, Rosie. It seems like a daily occurrence in Leafs Nation. We've seen all variations, but they're going back to Yarncroke, Matthews, and Marner. Do you like that look, having Yarncroke on the top line?
Not overly. It breaks it up a little bit. This team can be called top heavy sometimes, and I don't know, man. It's just like there are no lines. There are no lines. New lines? These are just lines. Like, they're always just lines. There are always different people everywhere. Yarncroke's been on the third line. He's on the first line. Bertuzzi, Tavares, Nylander. You got to keep those two together for sure. Try to get Bertuzzi going. I get that. Nice Camp Domi. That's cool. We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that could be solid. Camp is an unsung hero, like I talked about. Homer, I like Gregor's skating, man. Like, he can skate, this kid, hey? And he plays tough. He's a good addition. I think there'll be a lot of games coming down the stretch where we'll be like, man, that guy, he was the glue that kept that game on the rails and whatnot. That can be a big fourth line that gets her done. Mitten's sitting out. I think the writing's on the wall there. This guy's going to go back to junior. He had a great start to the season, confidence booster. He knows what it's like now. Now he can go back and develop a little bit more, being the man back in junior. That's what I think. Anyways, I'd be very surprised if they caught him, or if they kept him. How about you?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same route. I think we're at a point where it's like a foregone conclusion, but maybe they're just waiting for the end of the road trip. Like, this obviously can benefit a young player. I mean, he's just 19. To get a look at the NHL, to get your first taste of the road, I think it's cool. Although, of course, going out and drinking age in the States is actually 21. So I don't know how much this kid can truly do right now. It's a good experience, but I think the writing's on the wall. Like, you're a health bomb 2 games in a row. And granted, I get the coach doesn't want to change the lineup after winning the last game. But I just think Minton's days are numbered here with the Maple Leafs, and we all expect that. And on top of that, I don't know if you've seen, like, Nick Robertson's off to a really good start. Would he be your first call up from the AHL?
I think so. I think that's a hole that he could fill. We've talked about how you bring up, like, what lines he probably playing on in the Marlies, top 2 guaranteed, right? He's probably their number 1 guy. So to bring him up and then to stuff him on the 4th line, that's difficult. But it's tough for a player like that. Like, it's kind of his last kick at the can here with, I shouldn't say last kick at the can, but I mean, he's had these struggles and these injuries and he's had these setbacks. And when he's gotten his chance, he hasn't really flourished. And all of a sudden you're looking at your watch going, wow, it's kind of time's ticking here for you, man. Like, we were expecting you to be X and it hasn't really happened yet, but opportunity's tough. Like, I always thought it was tough when those skill guys from a first line in the American League come up and play 4th line in the NHL. It's like, you're not really designed to do that. Like, you're not going to get your points. You're not going to make plays. You're not going to be able to, even have enough ice time to go out there and get your mojo going. So it'll be difficult for him, but I'm thinking the Leafs are going to want to give him another chance to say, hey, here's another shot. Here's another crack. Let's see what you can do. Let's see if you can change our mind. Hell, maybe even bring up your trade bait value, and start making a little bit of noise. But if there's no spot for him in the next few years, maybe that's the best thing for him, is to go to an organization that's looking to use him in a proper scenario, and we can get something that we need in return. And he could be a nice piece of trade bait, but you got to get him out there, get him playing to entice somebody.
Do you like the Bertuzzi, Tavares, Nylander trio? It's got like a weird look to it. I don't know. I like Nyes Tavares personally, but again, like I put zero stock in the lines, as many of you in the chat are saying right now. They're going to change them after 10 minutes anyways. I've never seen a team like this in my life, honestly. You've played a lot of hockey in your life. I've never seen a coach who changes his lines as frequently as Sheldon Keefe. Like, I don't even remember some of these combinations. They're done already.
Yeah, especially in this league, man. Like, usually you have at least a few, mainstays and guarantees, and he doesn't have any of that. Like, top to bottom, he can wrinkle it up, and I don't know.
What happens behind the scenes, though, Rosie? Like, or like you're the king of the eye roll, which I love about you. Like, are guys rolling their eyes when they're like, "Oh shit, a new linemate, a new line mate," or do they care?
No, I think they very well could. Like, you walk into the dressing room and the jerseys, they're different colors. They're hanging in your stall, right? So you see who it is, and usually you're the same color all year long, or else you got the same guys out there, and you can work on stuff after practice and whatnot. And these guys probably look around to see who the hell they're with and what line they're on every single day, because it changes. I imagine there's some eye rolls going on sometimes, or else maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they don't mind as much who they're playing with. Maybe they don't have a specific desire on who to play with, because if they did, and if they were clicking and had tons of mojo with a certain group of guys, then that would probably come to the cream rises to the top, and you're going to be able to stick with that guy, and there'd be reason for Keefe. But I don't think we can say indefinitely that there's a line that should absolutely be together, because they're phenomenal together and they have tons of chem. I don't really know that stood out yet, and obviously Keefe's looking for that. My beef is that he just doesn't give it any time for anything to come to fruition.
Let's ask today's guest, 2018 Stanley Cup champion, your former teammate, former Washington Capital, of course, among other squads. It's Devante Smith-Pelly. Devo, thank you so much for doing this. Line combinations. Were you a player that got annoyed if your coach changed the lines too often?
First of all, thanks for yeah, no, I hated it, honestly. You don't really get any mojo going. You can't really figure out what your line is doing when, you have a couple bad shifts and everything is in a blender. So I personally always hated it and preferred to play, with at least one of the guys all the time.
With Emerson Edom all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's my boy.
What a beauty.
You and him.
Yeah, right. Hey, Devo, what's going on with these Caps? The Leafs are facing them tonight. How do you like that matchup? And a little bit of a slow start for the Caps right now. Did you expect that, or what are you seeing out of that outfit?
I expected a little bit. New coach, new system, new philosophy, stuff like that. Not only that, a lot of guys starting a little slow all at the same time. They got two major pieces coming off massive surgeries. Tom Wilson, Nick Backstrom. Like I expected them to be a little bit rusty. Um, so I mean, it's going to take some time to all of that coming together, finding your legs, figuring out what the coaches want and need from you, and it's hard for me to bet against those guys not figuring it out. But it's obviously not the ideal start.
No, it's not. Any concern about Ovechkin's slow start? Like, it's tough for me to say because this guy's one of the greatest ever to score goals in this league's history. You played with him, you won with him. Any concern that Father Time stands, undefeated? I mean, Father Time's going to get OV at some point in time. Any concern there?
Not really. I mean, I think I watched last game and obviously he came off 2 straight games without a shot. But last game he was creating. His second assist to Strome there, he could have easily just shot it. So it doesn't seem like he's forcing it or thinking about it too much. So I think, as long as he's getting some chances, they're eventually going to go in. And he's pretty streaky. So I expect, he's going to get one and go on a little run for sure.
Devo, lots of guys on this podcast who have played with Sid have talked about, what he's like behind the scenes at practice, like just his whole mentality, work ethic, the way he goes about his business. What's Ovi like behind the scenes playing with him? Does anything stand out?
To me, what stood out is obviously you hear all these stories without knowing him, and people assuming he's selfish and assuming he, doesn't really care and stuff like that. When I originally got there, he welcomed me with open arms. He welcomed all the new guys, all the young guys, made sure everyone's good. You needed anything, he would get it for you. And how much he did care, after losses, freaking out on the bench, snapping on guys in a good way, not degrading them or anything like that. But so I got to see that he was intense and cared. Where before I got there, the media was telling me that he didn't care and he was lazy and stuff like that, which just totally wasn't the case.
Does he do nasty shit in practice?
Well, he doesn't shoot in practice because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. So
he doesn't.
He just in practice he strictly passes it, unless it's it's a 2-on-1 or anything like that. But any drill where 5-on-5 and power play, he just doesn't shoot it because I'm sure earlier in his career he used to blast it and probably got some shit for
that. Do you have any one memory that stands out of playing with Ovi that will be ingrained in your mind? Is it something maybe from the parade or something like that?
I mean, he's one of a kind, and I would just remember the first time I saw a one-timer go in. I was sitting on the bench. I remember it was New Jersey, and you get the perfect angle of just him and the goalie, and there was only a puck length room, and the puck went perfectly bar down, top shelf, and that was early in my first season, and I just remember being like, wow, this is crazy. And then him doing it 40 more times that year, 50 more times, whatever. And it was just amazing to watch, and obviously great to cap it off with the win. But he's one of a kind, and he'll get going here for sure.
I imagine. What's we need a prediction here. Betano prediction on the game tonight. Who do you got?
Oh man, I think the Cats are still trying to find their game. They played better last game for sure. Probably gonna have to go with the Leafs though. In a tight one, but I think the Cats they're trying to find their game slowly, but the Leafs they're going to be playing fast, and they might have a little trouble with them tonight.
What's your read on this Leafs team? Obviously, some substantial changes in terms of some of the depth guys, interchangeable, obviously in the offseason were made. But do you like this roster? I mean, you're somebody who has been to the summit, finally got to the summit with the Washington Capitals. Do you like the look of this team, Devo?
Yeah, I definitely don't mind it for sure. I think could be some tweaks. Like you said earlier, the line changing, stuff like that. I think, you got to give some guys some run. sticking together and seeing if, those combinations can work. But, they definitely have, it all. I mean, obviously we know the top of the lineup is insanely skilled. And adding, a guy like Max and Nyes and stuff will only make them deeper. So, I like the team. Like I said, I just want to see, guys get some run with the same line, consecutive games, and see, if you could find some, some combinations that are going to work. So later in the year, if things are changing, some combinations that can and will work.
We've talked this year about the consistency of the Leafs and the expectations of being like a championship team, and if that even looks that way. When you guys had that team in Washington, you won the cup, obviously. Did you know that was a special team, or was the whole thing a grind and you kind of found it in the playoffs, or did you just know what to expect every night with that group?
Well, from the start, I mean, I went in there after, a heartbreaking loss to Pittsburgh the year before. So, I could kind of feel, the anger and guys were hurt. It took a while to get going. I mean, I think in November, we were awful. We got smoked in Colorado, and I remember, Trotzy coming in and just ripping into guys. And from that point forward, we kind of turned it on and we got extremely hot. And going into the playoffs, we were feeling good, playing well. So it wasn't a thing of, I signed there and, this is going to be the team. I had no idea what to expect. We did not start off well at all. But as you got into January, February, March, we turned it on and then we lost the first 2 games of the playoffs. So then things just changed instantly. So you never really know, but obviously we knew we had a good team, but you just can't tell until you get there. Like I said, we went down 2-0 instantly, and the season could have been over. It could have been done right there.
Yeah, that's the one thing people forget about that cup run is Philip Grubauer starts. Obviously, Braden Holtby takes over, and the rest is history. And I covered that Stanley Cup final. I was at a couple games in Vegas. What a fucking party. Epic stuff. Speaking of which, so you and I frequently, sometimes, it depends on when, we hit the town a bit. And you do recall this after the Leafs. You're smiling already. So the Leafs beat Tampa, Rosie. And I call up Devo and I say, hey, you want to take a peek? So we end up to one of our favorite spots, Parlor on King West. What was going through your head when you saw Leafs fans celebrating the way they were that night? Like the city was buzzing that night, Devo.
Yeah, I definitely understood it. I got it. I get it. I mean, it was a big deal doing it against that team. It's been a while, like, since I was a kid that something like that's happened. So there's a whole generation who's never seen that. But at the same time, I was like, my God, it's one round. Like it was a massive party. Like we're going to the Cup Finals party. So I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny. But like I said, I get it. There's a whole group of people that have never seen them win around. So, who am I to say don't have that much fun? Let it out,
Fans can do whatever they want. I don't care what they do, and I get it too. But sometimes you got to look around and go, "Hope the team's not partying this hard and thinking it's over." Because that's a recipe for disaster.
I would imagine that they weren't, but like you said, the fans let them have it. It's great.
I guess so, Devo. So we'll leave it at that, man. Great stuff today. We're looking forward to this one tonight. Frozen Frenzy. I know I'm going to be watching a lot of hockey tonight. 16 different games, 16 different start times. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys. See you guys.
See you, Devo. Thanks, man.
Absolute gem of a human being. And I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome that I was with somebody who won the cup like a couple of years prior, and he's laughing beyond belief. He's being humble about it, but he was laughing. He's like, dude, what is this? And I totally get it. It was one series victory in like 2 decades, and the streets are full. We're having shots. The drinks were flying. It was a good time to be alive like 6 months ago.
Yeah, what the hell? There hasn't been that much to celebrate, so obviously they're wanting to get it off their chest. I get it, and I like it, actually. Let's roll. Show the team how excited you are and what it could be if you keep rolling.
I like it. I like it. The Wendy's Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool is coming soon. What's that, you ask? Well, it's a season-long NHL fantasy game sponsored by Wendy's. Everything will run through dailyfaceoff.com, so you'll create a username and password and be able to play alongside just like that. It's a Monday to Saturday Survivor contest where users will be able to make their selection each day in advance accordingly. Prizes will only be eligible to those users who are resident in Canada, except the province of Quebec. Prizing will vary on Wendy's weekly menu items. Also, there'll be a season-long prize of $5,000 up for grabs as well. A game preview here, Rosie, as we get set for the Leafs and Capitals game 3 of 5 on this road trip. Toronto's 1-1-0 so far. The Caps, as referenced, it's been a leaky start for them. 1-2-1, 6 goals for in 4 games. What's it like playing Alex Ovechkin? I know you talked about this last year, how strong this guy is, eh?
Yeah, he's just a truck, man. Like that wide legs, strong stance. Like you bump into him. I mean, when you bump into some guys, you kind of feel some wavering and the balance kind of shifts. This guy's just like a concrete pillar. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from or what that guy does in the summer, but I think he comes from some like wrestling stock and whatnot. He's just an absolute tank. He's a beast, and he's got the shot to go with it. And, you know, the energy level, he just doesn't stop. I really, really like the way the guy plays. He's not scared to crush guys. He has big cell. He's super energetic, great teammate. It's just, you know, it's nice that he got his cup. I'm an OV fan, man. At the beginning, I was always like, let's go Sid. And, you know, you take your, you know, the guy from your country and whatnot and try to root for him. But as time goes on and these guys turn into legends, I mean, all you can do is respect what they've both done. And they both got their cups. They're both Hall of Famers. And yeah, playing against him was wild. I remember trying to hit him a couple times and I was just like, oof, like better give it my all next time, because there's not a lot moving this guy, and he's a truck.
Oh, he's an absolute unicorn. I'm happy you brought that up, because it reminds me of like Steven Stamkos too. Like, what was the story with Stamkos for this 10 years of his first 10 years of his career? Like, he couldn't win. He wasn't a winner, didn't have it in him. He wins, and the narrative's been so different. Like, he's one of the more winning players of his generation now. Like, it just shows you how quickly things can change. And even with Ovechkin, like, that was the narrative early on, is like, yeah, this guy's an amazing player, but he doesn't have enough to lead a team to a Stanley Cup. And then he does it. And you're so right. Like, the perspective changes on the player. Even Devo brings it up, where it's like, it's one of those things where people, you know, say he's lazy and this and that. And then you get to know Alex Ovechkin. You're like, wow, this guy's an absolute gamer. And look what he's doing at like, what, 37?
Yeah, it's wild. That's always dumb to me when people talk like it's a team game. It's not basketball where like you should just be able to like get to the finals on your own. That
starts tonight, by the way. Your favorite sport.
I heard. Ooh, LeBron's back, baby. I hope he misses the playoffs again. That'd be so beautiful. But when these guys, like, people are like, I can't believe, whoever would have thought Jack Eichel would get a Stanley Cup before so-and-so. It's like, they're on different teams, you meathead. It's not like a home run derby where it's just mono. Like, it's luck, it's timing, it's being in the right place. It's who drafted you. It's ridiculous. Like, you think that the Blackhawks are just automatically due for cups in the next 5 years because they drafted Connor Bedard? It's all about who else they draft, their free agents, what they can do with their cap, what the bad contracts they have or need to get rid of. It's like comparing two players and judging them based on their Stanley Cups or not is kind of dumb in a sport that's so team oriented as the NHL is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you know, I'm very curious to see how this one turns out tonight. Obviously, Joseph Woll's getting the call. It was a scheduled start anyways. No revenge game for Ilya Samsonov. But what are you looking for from Wollsy tonight?
Well, like I said yesterday, just that poise. When you watch him, he's not guessing. He's not hoping. He's not scrambling. He's in position and he's just reacting calmly to the play in front of him. And he was doing that in his debut there yesterday the other night when he got put in for Sammy. And I just want more of that poise, confidence, being big, being on your angles, and just reacting calmly and confidently to everything that comes at you. That's just a recipe for a goalie that's going to see everything and turn everything aside. Other than that, you know, let the boys in front of you do their work, and you should be in good position. And, you know, to have a goaltender that's playing like that, it takes a lot of pressure off the D. It takes a lot of pressure off the whole outfit, because, you know, you can know that you're not going to leave them out to dry, obviously, but you know that every chance and every little breakdown isn't like, oh my God, you're gritting your teeth hoping that it doesn't go in, because you know that your goalie's a little bit shaky. He looks solid so far, but this is his first start of the season, first start of his real NHL career, really. And he's probably going to have a little bit of nerves, but hopefully he picks up where he left off.
Especially nerves when you're facing Alex Ovechkin too. But like, what's it like as a player on a team when you're playing You're playing a squad like Washington who's really, really fighting it. Like I just mentioned it. They have 6 goals in 4 games. They have Alex Ovechkin, they have Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Wilson. Like there's some players who've had careers, you know what I'm saying? And I think for a team like the Leafs, that it just feels like a tough spot, man. Like this is the type of game where I want to see something. I want to see some jam. I want to see some moxie. Like instill fear in the hearts of Washington right away. Like that first goal, I know it's cliche to talk about. 4 or 5 games, the Leafs have surrendered the first goal. I want them to set a tone early in this game because I won't lie, this game scares the shit out of me because it's one of those like trap games or whatever you want to call it, where it's like we all know Washington's been dog shit, but what do the Leafs do against dog shit opponents, right?
Yeah, when I see that, what's going on? Like Ovi hasn't scored yet. Kuznetsov, where is he? Kuznetsov hasn't scored yet. TJ Oshie hasn't scored yet. Backstrom is pointless.
Exactly.
You can just know that that's not going to last forever. That's not going to last forever. So when I see that going into a game, I think, okay, let's make sure they don't find their groove against us because they're going to be absolutely digging their heels in trying to right their ship. And if you don't come in ready, the stupidest thing you could do is be like, oh, these guys are playing like dog shit. This should be good. No, trust me. An NHL outfit like that is going to be doing everything to get back on board. And I would like to change that narrative of actually scoring the first goal here. Be ready to play, come out guns blazing, get lots of pucks and bodies to the net, try to get that first goal. Because if you can do that, you can kind of revert them back to the way things have been going this season. And all of a sudden they might tighten up a little bit. I think the first goal is big this tonight.
Michael Kirkpatrick writes in, Leafs might take Caps too lightly, and that seems to be the consensus here in the chat. And I think it's a lot of Leafs fans have seen them play games against Chicago and those sorts and those likes. But yeah, like that's from a betting perspective, and we're going to get to the Betano wrap up. It's a tough one to quantify from a side's point of view because the Leafs are obviously the heavy favorite. But as you referenced, you look at this Washington team again. They have Ovechkin. You know, they have some guys on that roster who have done things before. They're not going to go silent for 82 games, right? And I think that's the concerns from the Leafs perspective, or at least it should be. Then you have Spencer Carberry. You know there's going to be money on the board. The former assistant coach of the Leafs, now the head coach of the Washington Capitals. Rasmus Sandin in the revenge aspect, his first game against the Leafs. Like there's angles you can look at. You know, it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's just about, are you going to be the team that lets them find their groove against you and take them lightly? Or are you going to be the team that steps on their neck when they're down and makes it even more difficult for them? And Leafs definitely have a track record of taking easier teams lightly. And I'm sure that in that locker room, the coaching staff and the leadership is saying, you guys, we need to be on top of our stuff. We got to start hard. We got to make sure we don't let these guys in the game, blah, blah, blah. And it's weird, though. It's just a subconscious thing where if there's a pattern of, you know, taking it lightly, it's usually just a subconscious thing. And this team might have a little bit of a ability to say the guy next to me will do it. Well, this guy will take over the game. Well, Matthews will show up and he'll get 2 tonight. And this guy, and you kind of pass the buck, and then all of a sudden time's ticking down. You look at the scoreboard and holy shit, no one stepped up to take this game. That's what you want to avoid for sure. And that's the kind of stuff I'd be pounding home as a leadership guy on the team. Tavares, get these guys thinking the right way. And it's funny though, sometimes you can say things till you're blue in the face and it doesn't really translate on the ice, but they got to find a way not to keep dropping games against teams that they should be beating.
You know what's funny? I almost want this game to be like a defensive battle, right? Where we just talked about Washington's got 6 goals in 4 games, but I think that's the one thing we're looking at from the Leafs perspective is tighten things up defensively, right? And if it has to be a 2-1 game, it has to be a 2-1 game. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Like I want to see this team improve upon things as the games go on here. And I think last game was an improvement, certainly in the second half of that game. But consistency is going to be a big buzzword with this team. Can they be consistent for a 60-minute effort? That's certainly a thing I'll be looking at tonight too.
Yeah, hell, a 2-1 win would be fantastic. I mean, you're not going to win games, you know, all through the playoffs 6-5. You got to learn how to play defense and how to play those tight grind games. And, you know, you got to be, you know, shut down for a period and a half and then find a way to get that big goal when everyone's searching for it. So, I mean, maybe the under is the play tonight as we go on to our Betano segment here. I'm looking here, the over under 6.5. Ooh, Undy. Let's go.
You're looking at that, eh? You're looking at
Undy.
that. The Betano wrap-up is presented by Betano.ca. The game starts now, 19+. Please play responsibly. There's a couple things I'm looking at. The Ovechkin shot prop entices me. It's only cleared in 204, but he dominates the Leafs. He has throughout his career. He's dominated a lot of teams. He has 41 goals in 56 career games. I think Ovechkin's going to shoot the puck tonight. He rises up against Canadian opponents. Sandin, I would look at if you can find a point prop there. It just seems like every time a guy plays his former team, he does something. So Rasmus Sandin, I would look at. And one of his best friends in Willie Nylander has been a great story. And I've been hitting a lot of success on the props. So Nylander's another guy I'm looking at tonight.
Willie's been hot as could be. I like that. Ovi's due to get on the board as well. I just hit the under on that. I like the way you're saying. I think Wolsey's going to be solid. And Washington's been struggling to get goals in the back of the net. But it would be typical Leafs fashion to let them find their footing here tonight. I am fingers crossed they don't. I hope they are a more mature team with more character than that. And we're going to go with the under. And I would love them to grind out a greasy defensive road win in Washington. That's would be a fantastic sign to me, showing that they can play that type of game and they don't have to shoot the lights out to win every single night.
I was going to ask you, what's your read on Pontus Holmberg? So he gets recalled, and we talked about first call-ups, and I know I was reading some people in the chat. I guess Nick Robertson got banged up last game, so what else is new? We'll monitor that over the next little while here. Certainly, he would be one of those guys who would be in line to be called up once Minton presumably is sent back to junior and Kamloops. But what's your read on Pontus Holmberg? Like, do you like him as a player? Do you think he has a spot in this lineup? Should he be in the lineup?
Yeah, I'm kind of impartial, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's kind of a filler spot. I would like and
An
you
upgrade.
need those guys. It'd be nice to I mean, is he gonna go? Is he gonna play physical? Is he gonna play with Jam? Is he going to How we doing, Nikki?
Yeah, we got you back. Go ahead.
You took off on me. I was talking about Holmberg. I want to see some jam out of him. You're going to play on that line. You got to play with some snot and get to the net, face wash a guy, little FU, little chip on the shoulder, play that role. I need you to do that. You can't just sit there and go, well, I wish I was getting more goals and points, and I'm not really getting the opportunity to play with the big guys. Well, back to the minors you go. You got to embrace the opportunity, fill the void that the team needs. And if you're going to be playing on, that bottom six, finish your check, stop in front of the net, drive the bloody net, chirp off, be that Corey Perry type of player without going to the penalty box and get it done that way. You got to fill the role that's needed.
The thing with that too is, like, I'm happy you brought that up, because like you talk about Rose, you talk about Tyler Bertuzzi. So I don't know if you saw this a couple games ago. Sheldon Keefe comes out and says like he's not 100%, but then like he's back in the lineup. If Tyler Bertuzzi is not 100%, like what's the point of playing him, right? Like, I think it's so early in the season, and I know this is going to be a conversation behind the scenes, the player, the training staff, the coaching staff, management. But if this guy's not close to 100%, why are they playing him, right? I think it's quite evident the last couple games, Tyler Bertuzzi's been a non-factor, and there's clearly something going on. What is the rush to put this guy in the lineup is my question.
Yeah, it depends what it is. Like, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Being injured, you just can't play, and being hurt means you got some things bothering you. But I mean, if it's a groin, you're going to make it worse by playing on it. You need time to heal. If it's something that's been nagging you for a couple of years, and you gotta go through the the routines of getting it better, but playing and practicing doesn't necessarily make it worse, well, then you're going to still be in the lineup. There's no reason to sit you out. So it depends on what it is. Everything's different and everything's specific to the player. But yeah, to hint that he's not 100%, and it's just kind of annoying because you don't know what it is. Ever this upper body injury stuff, lower body, it's kind of annoying, like as if this is like the 70s where a guy's going to go tomahawk your ankle if you find out he has a left ankle injury. It's kind of silly, but they never want to give out too much information. They always feel like any kind of information could be used against them. But obviously he's good enough to play. He's maybe making an excuse for him. I don't know, but I've seen it where guys are a little bit banged up. They're still obviously playing, but they're trying to find their form within that, and sitting out in the press box isn't necessarily going to make you healthier. You know, there's certain injuries that don't really get worse by just playing games on them. Could be one of those. I don't know. Again, we're not getting all the info.
Sean writes in, I want to see Wilson and Reeves drop the gloves. I do too. I don't know. Like, I think Revo's got to pick his spots. And I think if you notice the last couple of games, he hasn't played very much. But I think if there is an opponent where maybe a fight does happen, it's against Washington. It takes two to oblige, though, right? Like, who knows Wilson? I mean, he's coming off injuries. Who knows if he wants to get involved with a guy like Ryan Reeves, who I think turfed him a couple years back. Like, you got to pick your spots. And you can say this, you're a former fighter in this league. You don't want to just take everything that's handed to you or requested, right?
No, he won't. It many times you turn a guy away or shake a guy off because his team's in a bad position. He needs to spark something and start something and hit the reset button for his team. And you're saying, I don't want to give you even the opportunity to do that. What I want to see out of Revo, though, is running around, burying guys, finishing your checks. Like that one shift, his second fight of the year. Oh man, he was running around, burying guys in the corner, burying guys on the half wall, burying guys open ice. That's just beautiful. And when you run around like that, that's the reason I turned into a fighter. I switched to forward and just started running guys. And then it was just like, I have to fight. It was forced on me. And even if a guy's in a position where they just went up 2-0 and he shakes the guy off, says, no, not the time, Revo, not the time. And Revo runs around and buries 3 guys in one shift. You're forced. Your hand's forced. You got to go up there and grab them and say, hey, can't put up with that shit anymore, and force their hand. And if they don't want to, all the more reason you just smile ear to ear and say, I'm going to run every single guy on your bench until no one wants to touch the puck. That's the beautiful thing about it. So I want to see a little bit of that out of Revo. You don't have to go up and say, hey, Tom, let's fight tonight. Like, it's make him do it. Make him come to you. Make him frustrated. Make him force his hand to do something about your style of play. And then, of course, Revo is able to back it up.
John writes in, YouTube their 2014 fight. You will see why Wilson won't go tonight. So maybe we'll do that after the show. Maybe you'll break it down on your new Hockey Fights podcast. Why don't you preview that for us? You got a new Hockey Fights podcast.
Yeah, that's right. We call it Department of Discipline, and we've got one episode out right now. Me and Ryan Pinder off Flames Barn Burner. We're under the hockeyfights.com logo. They got our company. They got a big following. Nation Network's got that in their umbrella now, and we're going to get deep into some of this stuff. We're not going to be too PC. We're not going to be scared to go into the controversial aspects of the game. It's kind of a hockey culture show. You won't see us breaking down the standings or anything like that, but we'll BS about some of the stuff that guys talk about amongst themselves. So look forward to that. We're filming the number 2 episode this afternoon.
Love that. So make sure to go check that out. Subscribe. You can subscribe to our show as well at the Leafs Nation 401 here on YouTube, at the Leafs Nation 401. You can also search us up wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Leafs Morning Take. So you're not in tomorrow. We got Rosie's rants coming up tomorrow. Hopefully it's a good rant about the Leafs being excellent against Washington tonight.
I hope so too. I hope it's a positive rant, which doesn't get as ranty, but I'm not in the mood for another big slip up by the Leafs. I want to see these guys get some traction here and finish this road trip off in style.
I love it. We'll talk on Thursday. Okay, Rosie?
Sounds good. We will see you then. Enjoy the frozen
Frenzy.
NHL schedule.
Frozen Frenzy.
Finger, whatever
Frozen
they call
Frenzy.
it. Frozen Frenzy. Whoop-dee. Here we go. Frozen Frenzy. 16 games.
There you go. That's Jay Rosehill. Anthony Stewart back in the saddle alongside tomorrow. Many thanks to producer Aaron Bordato. Our guest today, Devante Smith-Pelly from the 2018 Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals. And thank you to everybody in the chat. You are fantastic, including some of our enemies and Elvis Lives and, of course, Travis Houston. Rosie's boy. We'll see you later. Take care.
Shouldn't you be at work, Travis?
Thank you for watching Leafs Morning Take. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit theleafsnation.com.